right, let's go ahead and kick this off. First of all, thank you guys for spending your afternoon or midday, I guess, depending on where you are in the country with me. My name is Dina Watson, and I am a MAPS coach here, obviously at Keller Williams Realty. Today, we're going to go over in this webinar the top 5 types of ads for lead generation that you guys can take into your next 12 months and make sure that you've got huge success in your business. So I want to go over like 2 really quick housekeeping things. Number 1, if you can, you guys do have the ability to unmute yourselves. If you would, though, for the duration of this, until we get to the end, please keep yourself on mute. We will have a few seconds towards the end where I will let you know we're about to do Q&A. So once we get to that point, if you have questions, you can pop them in the chat box along the way, or you can unmute yourself at the end, totally your choice. But for the duration of the class, just keep yourself muted because there's a lot of people and a lot of background noise sometimes. Second thing is this is being recorded and it will be made available to you by the end of the week. You will also receive all holiday recordings that you signed up for by the end of the week. So that is one of the number 1 questions we're all getting asked on these calls is, are they being recorded and when do I get them? So yes, and by the end of the week, you will have all of this. Awesome, awesome. So let's get going. Like I said, my name is Dina Watson. Today, we're going to go over a few concepts on the top 5 ads for lead generation that I see will increase your business going into next year. But I wanted to first give you a quick introduction of who I am. As I told you, I am a MAPS Mastery Coach as well as the group coach for the Facebook course here at MAPS. I'm a military spouse, so through Facebook and lead generation on Facebook organically, I've been able to start my business over completely in 3 different states in the last 5 years, taking it to a platinum award producer level at Keller Williams, the team I have now. Also have a little boy, he's 3, and super enthused about all things branding and social media marketing. So if you have any questions for me, the best way to get a hold of me, honestly, is through Facebook. And my name is Dina, which is D-E-A-N-A. Last name is Watson, just how it sounds. All right, so let's kick this off. I have 5 goals for you guys today. Number 1 is I want to express the urgency on your need to not just place ads, but to brand yourself on social media. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why it matters. I know you've heard this for years, and social media is not going away. So the one thing I want to make sure you guys understand is that when I say urgent, I chose that word on purpose. If you have any desire to hang in this business for long, you have to figure out this whole branding thing, whether it's Twitter or YouTube or Instagram or Facebook, it doesn't really matter. That choice is up to you, but the choice to brand yourself, while is still up to you, I would highly encourage you to go ahead and make that decision today that you're going to look into how to do this for yourself. The second goal I have for you today is explain a little bit about the how you do that behind the why you need to. Now, understandably, this is a 30 to 45 minute webinar. All things can't be explained in 30 to 45 minutes. And yet I am committed to any of you who have questions after this webinar. If you reach out to me, I will answer your question no matter whether you are in MAPS coaching or not, doesn't make any difference. As a service to all of you here on the webinar today, if you still have questions at the end, I will get back to you as soon as you write me on Facebook. Number 3, I want to give you 5 examples of types of ad concepts that actually work and a few minor tweaks on a couple old but good ones that will allow you to get more business through your funnels. Next, which we're going to actually talk about that before we move on, is to navigate the business page versus personal page conversation and where things go to make the biggest impact in your business. And then last, I'm going to give you a really quick daily activity you can do that is something I want you to take action on starting today that will inevitably help you grow your presence on social media. So before we move on, I do want to have a conversation real quick about the business page versus personal page thing. You guys, you are your brand, you are your business, therefore you should be posting on your personal page about your business and your brand, okay? I know in the beginning of social media, we were all talked to about having a business page, and it was super important, and you had to, in some states that I worked in, it was I'm going to say requirement, because I don't know who said it was a requirement, but it was a requirement. I've had plenty of brokers tell me I have to, and all of this. I want you to think about it this way. A business page is like a park bus bench or a billboard or an advertisement on the back of a shopping cart. People likely are not going to call you off of your business page, okay? A business page is just proof of success. When people are going to go look you up, they are going to find your business page. And it is important for you to have one. It is important for you to make sure you are constantly posting on it. But I want to make sure that we are all on the same page, no pun intended, about how important it is for you to totally understand that that's not where you're going to convert the most of your business. I'll say it again. That is not where you're going to convert your business. Now, you have to have a business page in order to place ads, and I get that. Where you will end up converting the majority of your business on social media is going to be through your posting on your personal Facebook page and growing your friends list on that page. So my first question I have for you is, and I want you to check in with yourself. You don't need to pop it in the chat box or any of that. Check in with yourself real quick and ask yourself, what commitment do you have around opening up your personal page to the public? What commitment do you have around opening up your personal page to the public? Now, I don't want any of you to unmute yourself. The chaos will ensue with 400 people unmuting yourself to answer this question. I do want you to write it down though. If you knew that you could grow your business by opening your Facebook page up to the public and you knew it 100%, would you choose to do it? Now, there are some of you that's going to say no, and that's okay. You're just going to have a little bit slower of a ramp up on social media marketing than others. But I do want you guys to understand that unless you're willing to be vulnerable and open most of your personal page to the public and post on that, your ability to make massive waves in social media is going to be very small unless you're willing to commit to that. Second question is, what types of things are you willing to be vulnerable about? Someone said, no, I'm too opinionated and vocal on my personal page. I have a degree in politics, Catherine. I just choose to not share that as public. I still post it, just very few people can see it. So I understand. Second question, like I said, what are you willing to be vulnerable about or not? What's off limits and what's not off limits on your personal page? So some of you will say, I don't want to do that. Totally okay. You don't have to. No one has to do anything. It's just that the more that you're willing to be a vulnerable human being, posting things personally and professionally on your personal Facebook page, the more business you will get as a result of it, okay? So we're going to move on from that concept, but I do want you guys to understand that the conversion is not on a business page. That is just proof of success. That's where people are going to go to see what you're doing, who you're selling homes to, your reviews, your listings, things like that will be housed there. Where you're going to connect with people and be able to network is where the highest level of conversion is going to be, which is your personal page. Okay, so now that we're past that, let's get going a little bit. Now, first thing, okay, sorry, it jumped on me. First thing I want to talk about is the importance of branding yourself. And I know you're here to listen to the top ads, and we will get there, I promise. But the thing that's the most important thing for you guys to understand first is that unless you have your own identity, understanding who your audience is and connecting through ads to those people is going to be very difficult for you. So I have a couple of questions for you that if you want to type them in the chat box, you can. If you want to put them on your page and hold it till the end, you can do that too. The first question is, what is your brand identity? If you are your brand, what is it that you want people to know you for? I'll share an example for you. My brand is a lot about the military. I live in a military community. Majority of everyone on my team is a military wife. We service military clients, and yet I fully understand that my brand is all around the military spouse. Now, some people have said, why not the service member? If you've been in the military for very long, you understand that the spouse is usually the one that goes ahead of the service member to find lodging homes, right? So if I can connect to her, I can sell a home to their family. If I'm connecting to him and she's the one looking, that connection is not going to be made in a way it needs to be. So one way you would see that if you went onto my personal social media, like my personal page, is that some of our headshots were taken in front of what we call the field of flags, Once every year, there are hundreds of flags that are put in over at one of the museums here in honor of fallen soldiers, and we go down and take branding photos in front of that. So my identity is the military spouse, my brand is military, our marketing is all surrounding that as well. So if I'm looking at how do I speak to her, it's through the same photos that she's used to seeing of her own family, which is patriotic, right? You guys all have something like that. You just might not have spent a lot of time thinking through what it is. So this question is designed to help you with that. What is your brand identity, or what is your identity as a business person? I don't mean your name. I don't mean your logo. Who is it that you personally are representing? What do you stand for? Branding, you guys, put very simply, is just the promotion of a particular product by means of advertising it. You are the product in this example. So in order to advertise yourself, you have to understand what you're advertising. It's more than just your logo. There are a few things that, if you guys choose to continue on with me and take the course that's coming up, you'll get into the details of this. But there are a few things that make up a really great brand. Number one are the colors that you choose to use and making sure they're in alignment with your audience, so that when you're marketing with that, your audience is likely to open your ads. So for us, we have a very identifiable set of colors. The next thing, and honestly, the most important thing, is what is the story that you're telling? What is the story that you're telling? Filters obviously are a big thing these days. If you guys don't use it, the app on your phone, Lightroom, you can also get it on your computer, is one of the, in my opinion, best ways for you to have a certain filter preloaded that you use with every single photo, so that no matter if you're on Facebook or Instagram, your news feed looks very, 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 very similar. Same photos, same shades, same color hues, all of it will be the same. You can purchase Lightroom, they're called Lightroom presets. You can purchase a preset off of Etsy, and then whichever set of presets you want to cover all of your photos and your videos and things like that, you then can upload them into Lightroom and it will already be done for you. You don't have to adjust the little knobs or anything like that. You don't have to guess. So that's I'm not going to call it a pro tip, but it is a pretty cool trick to save a lot of time. So all of these things matter. The colors you're using, the story that you're telling matters most, in my opinion. Filters and what type of messaging you're portraying, like for example, the military spouse versus someone else talking to the military service member. That's a big difference. Branding also allows consumers to find you. You guys, social media now is a very, very busy space, which is why a lot of you are probably here. How do I stand out? How do I do something different? Social media is a busy space where lots of people are attempting, I know I'm not supposed to say that, lots of people are attempting to get it right, and no one actually does. The more you can brand yourself, the easier it is for people to find you when they forget who you were and they're scrolling the news feed. Because that's what they're going to do. They're going to meet you, they're going to love you, and then they're going to forget your name. Everyone does that. However, if they can visually in their mind identify with something they saw when they're scrolling, they will stop and they will look, okay? So I'm gonna keep going on, and then we're gonna talk real quick about ads. And then, like I said, at the end, I'll answer whatever questions you guys have in the chat box. So keep putting them in there for me. There are 5 common types of social media ads for real estate agents that I personally think you should be running a collection of all 5 of them to encompass the full circle of what you should be portraying on social media. Each one of them is going to serve a different function and a different purpose, and you need to know your desired outcome for each one of these that we're going to talk about before you start spending your money and placing the ads. Make sure that you understand what return on investment you want from each one. What is the goal here is the question I like to ask. So some people will post a review, an ad about a review, and expect a lead. That's not necessarily going to work on that type of ad. The whole point of a review ad is for people to see that you're somebody they could want to work with. And we'll go into each one of those things. Also, ensure you guys that you're holding your money accountable. If you're placing ads and they're not hitting home with anyone and no one is commenting or calling you or whatever your goal was, there's either something wrong in the messaging, in the imaging, or in the ad copy. Those are the 3 big components of an ad: the messaging, the imaging, meaning the picture or the video, and the ad copy, meaning the story that connects them all. So if you find yourself putting out ads after ads after ads and you're not getting anything back, those are usually the 3 checkpoints that I would go through to see where are you having, I'll call it a hiccup. Where is there a hiccup in your marketing? Next thing, don't just throw things out there and see what sticks. Tell a story in the ad that moves people to action. If any of you have been in bold, you all know the logic makes you think, emotion makes you act, bold law. This home is listed 3 beds, 2 baths, gorgeous backyard, fenced in, blah, blah, blah. That is a logical ad. What if instead you told the story of the house? If any of you live in California, New York, Manhattan area, any luxury marketplace, if those of you who don't, which is most of us, you guys might be very familiar with what I would like to call the music videos of real estate ads, where you guys fly in actors and helicopters and fancy cars and all of this stuff. You guys, those people are telling stories of what's available as a lifestyle if they live in this home. That's why those things work so well. So I want you to think about real quick, what's the last ad that you placed, even if you didn't pay for it, even if it was just posted on your Facebook page? What did it look like? Just run through real quick. What did it look like? Was it, this is 3 beds, 2 baths, great backyard, fenced in, on a cul-de-sac? Or did you tell a story like the luxury listing type ads that we'll see? Or the, if for those of you who don't look at that kind of stuff, you can think about the HGTV conversations. Was it more of a story or was it more logical? Until you can figure out, how do I get people into the emotional side of what it's like to live here? Motion won't follow. Motion follows emotion, okay? So get the emotion into the ad that you're placing before the motion will follow. And I'll give you an example of some of that in a minute. All right, so let's go into the actual, what I would consider the 5 pillars of ads that you guys should be placing all year round. This isn't a one and done. This is a constant circle, 5 types of ads. Facebook ad type number 1 is the sale, which I would call a just listed or just sold ad. Every time you guys are taking a listing and every time you guys are selling one, or in my marketplace or in my state, until it's actually closed, we can't call it just sold. We have to put under contract. So make sure you know your legal, your legalese in your state as to what you're allowed to post. But every time you take a listing or sell something, there needs to be an ad ran. I would suggest running them all through command. These types of ads do really well in command and tend to get quite a few leads for very little amount of money. Like I said before, stop posting just the home and post the family or the story behind it. For example, if you have a just sold or under contract and it was really difficult, like really difficult, you should tell the story of how difficult it was and how you guys prevailed in the end. Same thing with just listed. Who is the person that you're moving to a different chapter of life? Is it difficult for them? They loved this home. They built their memories here. You guys have to be very careful in this section, though, of not violating fair housing. So family type conversations, that kind of stuff, be very careful, because those are could all be violations of fair housing. Stay away from that kind of stuff. And yet the more you can exude some sort of emotion in your just listed, just solds, the better. There's an agent here that I actually commended her a few weeks ago. She told this story about this woman she's been working with for years. Of course, it's accompanied by a picture, who had actually gone bankrupt about 4 years ago. And through a whole bunch of different things that they were doing together to pay things off and to work towards it, she was finally able to buy another home by herself after a really bad divorce. Those kinds of stories get people to identify with you and know that you're the person that could move them forward. The goal for these 2 types of ads is more of a proof of production. You're likely not going to get a correlated 1-to-1, meaning just listed to a lead or just sold to a lead. The point here is that people are paying attention to the fact that you are producing and that you are an expert in your field, therefore they end up calling you. There's an ad copy on the bottom in terms of what it would look like to maybe tell a story. If you want to screenshot this, it's going to be a lot to write down, but there's a few differences in terms of how you could tell a story here if you want to copy that, but you'll also get this recording later if you want. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to screenshot that. Keep in mind, you guys, if you've never read Donald Miller's Story Brand book, it was talked about at the Masterminds a few months ago, or yeah, November. It's 2020. I don't know what month it is. In November, that's a great book for you guys to go back and see what are the true elements of a story that are told even in Hollywood movies all the way down to books. There are a few key elements that actually allow people to follow a storyline, buy into the characters, understand the problem, and also see the solution. So if you've not read or listened to the Story Brand book by Donald Miller, I would highly suggest that book as you're going into marketing yourself in a way of story. It's really helpful. Here are a couple of screenshots that I took of a few that we did. Of course, you guys, I'm not perfect. Some of you are going to see some things in here that, and yes, you now see my phone number. So if you want to text me, go ahead and screenshot that. I'm going to show you one on the left that is more of a true just listed ad that has nothing to do with story. And the one on the right is more of a story about the next chapter for the family that lived in the home. So I'm going to give you a few seconds to look at the two. One of them is simply just listed. The other one is a little bit of story mixed in with the fact that we sold their house in 4 days. And this is a neighborhood that traditionally takes about 200 days on market. So telling the story of how long it took for us to sell it was actually very impactful in this ad. And also letting people know that they have a neighbor that's moving and a new one coming in. It adds the emotional side of living in a neighborhood. And also you have to put calls to action at the bottom for everything to be effective. So here's just a really quick contrast and comparison between the two to get some creative juices flowing. All right, so Facebook ad type number 2 that I think you guys everyone in this country should be running this right now on massive scale because inventory is very low. And once a person raises their hand and says, I want to list their home, most of the time people go with the first person they had a conversation with that kept in touch with them. This is on the buy side and the list side. And I don't know about you guys. I know you guys are all great realtors. There are some people who I see my team members dealing with that are listing agents. And I'm like, how in the world did that client pick that person? Because they were the first person they talked to. And I know that they say somewhere between 60 and 70% of people will go with the first realtor that they have a conversation with. The goal of the CMA ad is to get people to raise their hand with you before they raise it with the rest of the public. Before they put it up for sale by owner, before they call their friend's brother, sister who's in the business. This is to find out who is just curious about what they could sell their home for. Anybody who registers that is just curious, even though they're just curious, a lot of you will toss them. Please don't do that. You now know the name of the homeowner. You know what they owe. Often they'll tell you if you ask them. You also know that they are motivated to have a conversation with somebody about what their home could sell for. Put those in your back pocket. And when you guys can't find inventory, go to these people who have halfway raised their hand and said, hey, 6 months ago, you clicked on an ad. I told you what you could sell your home for. And you know what? To be honest, in researching your home 6 months ago, I really think I have a buyer for you right now. Would you sell it right now to this buyer if this was the correct connection? You would be surprised and blown away how many people you could match make with if you stopped throwing these leads in the trash when they were just curious. Okay. Consider also setting up a quick Zoom valuation meeting as opposed to personal to person and have that same personal connection. So, hey, let's get on Zoom for 10 minutes and I'm going to actually walk through this CMA with you real fast. No obligation. I just want to make sure that you have all your questions answered before I let you go. You'd be surprised the amount of people who take their walls down when they don't have to meet with you in person. So right now, you guys, the whole pandemic, this is normal. They're working on Zoom. Their kids are going to school on Zoom. Why are we not presenting listings on Zoom? Why are we not doing pre-market analysis stuff on Zoom? I don't know, because for whatever reason, our 5-year-olds are changing and we think we need to stay the same. I'm not sure. Next thing you could do if you wanted to is to have predetermined slots in your calendar every week that your goal is to fill with these 15-minute appointments. You could run the ad with a Calendly link, which is Calendly. It's on your screen, where you have already determined what what times of day and you could also do timeshare. There are some other services. I use Calendly. I like it the most, where you could go in and say, do you want to know what your home is worth? They can also, in that same ad, click on your Calendly link and schedule a 15-minute conversation with you about going over the neighborhood and the stats and what's going on. I would encourage you guys to all put 4 of these in your calendar every single week. I also would like to ask you the question, if you had 4 listing presentations every single week, right? Like these are pre-list conversations, and you worked 48 weeks next year, giving yourself a month off, how many listing opportunities would end up in front of you? If you did 4 15-minute Zoom pre-list presentations on a CMA ad in a year, how many other opportunities or at-bats would you have? A lot is the answer. This also is mainly geared to build your pipeline for the future. And if you're newer in the business, it's allowing you to have a better knowledge of the market. If you're experienced or new in the business, it's going to allow you to have a better knowledge of who in the market would sell for the right price. So those are the main goals of the CMA ad. To give you an idea, the CMA ad traditionally has the highest click-through rating of any other real estate ad out there. However, it has the lowest lead rating of anyone out there because people click it and it goes nowhere. My little tweak I would encourage you to do is to create a landing page, which you can do so through Command, and I'm sure some of you use other services that you may be able to do that through, I'm not sure, but through Command you can. Create a landing home valuation page that then collects their information. You then create a retargeting ad through Facebook with that information. And then the next ad that you create is to target the people in terms of like staying up to date with what's going on in their neighborhood. If you knew that they were a move up buyer, you could also target them with ads for other homes that are in that category. But don't just create the CMA ad and put in a lead capture system. Make sure that it's going to a landing page, they're typing in their address and their information, you're putting that information into a retargeting ad, and you're targeting them with new types of ads that's going to stay with them for a while. If you don't do the other features or the other functions, you're going to have a really, really low lead rating on a CMA ad. Okay, so just add a couple of things in there. Some of you might already be doing this. Here are a couple of examples if you just want to see what it might look like. The one on the left is just straightforward. Are you curious about your home's value? That's easy. The one on the right is for the same neighborhood, but it also talks about how we are selling homes faster than the competition because we know we've gone in, we've looked at the data. Our team was selling them on average about 28 days faster than everybody else. So what we're doing in that ad is asking them if they want the value of their home, but also showing them at the same token how we're selling things quicker than anybody else. Okay, just two examples of how you could do this if you wanted to. All right. Number 3, what I would call the FOMO ad. And if you don't know what FOMO means, it's fear of missing out. So this is something where you are offering some sort of incentive or you're offering something to the public, and those that have taken advantage of it, you're creating an ad that they did and allowing the public to have a FOMO, fear of missing out. I'm going to show you a couple of examples, but the goal here basically is to capitalize on humans' needs to be in the know about what's going on. Even though those of you who say, I don't really care, the less I know, the better off I am. It is like an innate human need that you want to know things. You just don't want the drama that comes with the knowledge. Okay, so let's all move past that. I'm that person. I don't want the drama, but I would like to know what's going on. So all of us have a need to know what's happening around us, even if we don't play into it very often. You can also tell your clients stories in a way that gets people engaged emotionally through this. And it also, when you tag them, allows their peers to see that they worked with you as well. It also allows people to see that they too can do the thing that this person did. If like this is your ad, you make it sound easy enough that everybody else is like, oh, I could do that, or that sounds like me. Okay. This is going to also do really well if you were to do a video and make a video ad of this, because video and connection made through body language, tonality, all of that is what's missing in an ad copy that you would get in a video. So maybe if you're doing review ads this year, which that'll be another one, maybe you change it into, instead of pictures, you do a video review. That's going to pull on the emotion of everybody around you that's looking at this. So I'm going to preface this that we don't currently do Homes for Heroes anymore. However, these two ads that you're seeing got the most amount of leads I have ever received while placing Facebook ads. Okay, so if you have any kind of program like that you're a part of, these two would be really great. If not, the other types that I see do really well with this are giveaways. So people who are doing giveaways to the public, but also those who say, hey, this giveaway is exclusive for our past clients. So please, if you're a past client, participate. If not, all you have to do is send us a referral and we'll add you in the list with everyone who's a past client. So the FOMO type ads that I see doing the best are incentives, if you have them. You could also do this with some sort of like home warranty, or I know there's a lady that I used to coach a long time ago that staged the home, would repave the driveway. I mean, she was doing crazy stuff to get these mega luxury listings. And that's something that she could post as a FOMO ad. Hey, you listed with person over here and got nothing. My clients got all of these things. That is created with an ad in the picture. The picture is what actually makes the biggest difference though. Okay. Number 4, we're going to talk about the review ad. The goal here, you guys, is not at all to get leads. The goal of this ad is to show that you are the preferred person that has the highest level of customer service possible to potential clients who are just like everyone else. Okay, this is the customer service ad. This is not going to get you leads. It also allows you to humanize your business and let other people brag about how great you are. There's a ton of research that has been done around social proof with people who are friends of yours. When they use someone or recommend them, or online you see a recommendation, you are, I don't know the number, but multiples of times more likely to do business with that same person just because you've seen them be recommended. I don't know about if any of you are like me, but if I go Google something and there's no review that comes up, I'm not going there because they're either a new business or they're awful and nobody wants to review them. So when for example, the other day I was looking at spas, like somewhere to go get a massage back home in Nashville. And I knew of one place. And when I looked it up again, their review rating had gone down in the last few months. I've been there 5 times. I've spent thousands of dollars in that place. And because they got a bunch of negative reviews in the last 4 months, I'm not going to go there. There's something going on that tells me I don't want to go there. And yet this other spot over here that I've never been to in the last few months, the customer service review ratings have gone up. I chose to go there instead. There's something to be said about others reviewing you. And some of you will ask, how do you get the reviews in the first place? One, you just could send out an email with your closing stuff that says, please review us. And then in the email, provide the links for where they can go to review you. Give them as many options as you can. Facebook, Yelp, Google, Zillow, Realtor.com, whatever you have, go ahead and give them the links to be able to click on, and then it's automatically going to pull you up. If you send them on a goose chase to figure it out on their own, they're not likely to review you because you're making them work for it. If you literally just pop in the links, you'd be surprised the amount of people who would review you that you never would have gotten them before just because you're asking. The next thing I've seen people do is giveaways. You do a giveaway tied to submitting reviews for your business. I've even seen a gentleman give away Jimmy Choo shoes, which for the men on the call who don't know how much that costs, we're talking thousands of dollars for a pair of shoes just for reviews for his business. Because he knows if he can keep getting reviews coming in, people will use him. There's a reason he can afford to give away Jimmy Choo shoes. So just keep that in mind. You could do a giveaway if you wanted to. People are always going to be doing business at higher levels with those that they can see others have had a great experience with. Okay. You can also run it by doing this. You're running a series of ads that give others a glimpse into the type of customer service you would offer before they chose to use you. This is one. I know this is long-winded. Screenshot it if you want to. This is a review that we got from someone not too long ago. The big thing here, you guys, is that you are providing space. If the review is very long, you're providing white space because the human brain will stop scrolling. You're just sitting there scrolling. When you see the white spaces in something, your mind recognizes that's different than what I've been looking at, and you'll stop. So in anything you're posting that is really long copy, provide white chunks of space in between every couple of sentences. And even like, as you see at the end, there's a whole lot of white space between the last part of the review and where we said, if you're wanting to list, that's the call to action in there. And then there's more white space before the disclosures. So first tip is, if you have a lot of copy to read through, provide white space. Second thing is, provide a call to action even in your client reviews, and make sure they know how to contact you. So I'll give you all a second to screenshot this if you want. But the more other people can tell the story of working with you, the more you will likely have other folks who want to join in. If you don't, all you're doing is bragging on yourself. And as my mom used to tell me, nobody likes a show off. Okay. All right, number 5, which right now I added this because I think this is the most important thing we can do, is the COVID ad. Okay. Everyone, no matter your personal beliefs about what's going on in the world, if you were at Mega Camp, you also heard this, the amount of people typing COVID with everything else, COVID safe restaurants, COVID friendly, blah, blah, blah. What's, you know, like the term COVID or COVID-19 is being inserted in everywhere. And Google search has shown, and they talked about it at Mega Camp, that the amount of people who are searching for COVID is off the charts. So what's not coming up when all these people are searching for COVID is you, if you're not talking about it in your advertising. There's a lady at Keller Williams who owns a team. She also is one of the top teams in our company. And when COVID started, she literally went and changed every piece of marketing collateral that she had to represent how that works during COVID. No matter what your preference is, or no matter what your opinion is on this, you guys, this is still going to be here in 2021 where people are concerned about COVID. So if you have yet to change anything that you do in your marketing, your listing presentation, if your listing presentations don't talk about what you do differently with COVID, you will be losing listings and not even realizing it. People will choose someone else. We went a different direction because they don't feel safe with your protocols. Make sure that not only in your ads, but in the rest of your business too, that you are talking about what you're doing differently because of COVID. You can also share some reviews from people that you've worked with during COVID and have them talk about the ways that you guys protected them or the ways that they felt they stayed safe. Also, make sure that you're using hashtags or something that's searchable if people are curious about COVID during real estate. Okay. One other thing in addition to this is you guys can have ads go out that talk about everything is touch free, the contactless, the contactless buying process, the contactless listing process, the contactless blah, blah, blah. You guys piggyback off of these buzzwords. Everybody is using them in every industry right now. Jump on the bandwagon. Okay. Here's one that we placed that actually did extremely well. Facebook now has done away with in the very recent past the 20 to 25% rule, where they would not really promote your ads if it was more than 25% words on the image. That is now gone. So you should be able to do this fairly easily. But on here, it just says, these are difficult times indeed, and we're more than willing to go the extra mile to make the buying process as smooth and stress-free as possible for you. And then it says, are you in the market for a new home and worried about how COVID can affect your search? And then it's a 1, 2, 3, 4 flow chart basically on what we can do for them if they are concerned about COVID. To include, what you can't see at the bottom is mobile notary and mail away closings, even if they're local. Number 8 is a mail away closing. So those are all things that we all know we can do. We're just not marketing it, right? All right, so I am going to go through the chat box here in a second and answer whatever questions I still see in there. If you are interested in joining me on the next launch of our 50 Facebook Sales in 50 Weeks program through MAPS Coaching, the information is on your screen. We launch on the 12th of January. It is an 8-week conversation where we go in detail in a lot of this stuff, but it's also recorded. So if you can't make any of the calls or one of the calls you're going to miss, you can obviously go back in there and listen to them. You have 2 months after the last session to catch up on all of that stuff. So if you are interested in that, I'm going to leave that up, but I'm going to go find the chat box and see what questions people have. Someone said, will this Zoom be available for replay? Yes, it will be. You'll have everything by the end of the week this week. You guys will have access to all the calls that you signed up for. Are these all Facebook campaign ads like we do, like when we do listings? I don't think I understand. Kelly, if you're still here, can you unmute yourself? You said, are these all Facebook campaign ads like when we do listings? I think.
Yes, I'm here. So I jumped on a little late and I just was trying, like, I'm following everything that you're explaining. So when I go into like campaigns, do I just start like all these ads like I would when I make a PDF for a Facebook listing?
Yeah, you absolutely could. You could do most of these things through like the campaigns on command. And if you aren't going to use command, you can use Facebook directly to do all of these.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure I was on the same page as everybody and I didn't want to get confused.
Nope, you're good. I also, okay, you muted yourself. I saw somebody was unmuted. It says, if you're having a giveaway, is this considered bribing? Curious, just for my information on the differences. So some states, you guys, you cannot do inducements. You cannot do giveaways. Some states you can. So anything like that, you guys always go back to your broker in charge, go back to your state laws. I know in certain states, it is absolutely illegal to have an inducement to do anything. And in other states, the way that you quote unquote get away with it is that they don't have to do anything to enter. It's not a this for that kind of conversation. And so all you have to do is be on here to win. But you do need to go check with your state on whether you guys can do giveaways or not. And if you can do them, what will keep them legal? For example, we do client giveaways all the time. And we also, at one point, we're going to do a giveaway on, it was a game. So basically, if you were going to post all of our listings, if you saw our listing and took a picture of yourself in front of our sign at the house and put a certain hashtag in, you were going to be entered in to win the big green egg grill thing. And we researched it and realized we could not do that here. So they can't have to go somewhere else to be entered to win. They can't have to do something to be entered to win. But giveaways in general for us, we can do as long as we keep it within that. There's no inducement for action. Some states you just can't do them at all. So I would imagine that you need to go check on that for sure. How about strategic alliances, promote others' businesses, and they promote you? Okay, so we've done that not extremely well. So I can't really speak to how that would work for you. We have very poorly done the I scratch your back, you scratch mine strategy on growing followers that way. Megan, you have your hand raised. Is that on purpose or on accident? Looks like on accident. Okay. I've seen 2 different teams give away a Peloton lately. Massive return on new leads and contracts. Marty, I have seen that as well. And I was actually wanting to enter their giveaways, although I already own 2 Pelotons. It's like, how in the world are they doing that? And then of course I first go to, how are they paying for that? So yeah, there are some places, you guys, I see a few of you who are saying you can't do that. In your state, you might not be able to. In other states, you could be able to. So just because it's not legal for you doesn't mean it's not legal for other folks. So just make sure, you guys, if you're doing reviews or giveaways or any kind of inducement for something, that you go check. Okay, I don't see a ton of other questions for me. I see you guys asking and answering each other's questions. So that is good. What is the suggested time frame for the video? Max time. Okay, so here's the thing I would encourage all of you who are doing video ads is in the first 3 to 6 seconds, you need to clearly explain who you are, what they're going to get for being there with you. What information are they going to get? And what's the video about? Facebook is working very hard on making sure that we are not spamming when we are doing advertising. So if you're doing videos, make sure that in the first 6 seconds, it's clearly identifiable as who you are, what the video is about, and what they can expect to know once they're done doing it. The average attention span in this country has dwindled very, 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 very far down to about 2 to 3 minutes is what I see is the max I would ever do on a video right now. If you're on Instagram or stories or something other than your news feed, there are actual restrictions on how much preview they will show to someone. So based on where you're putting the video, you need to research what that is. But in terms of like the average attention span here is about 3 minutes or so. So anything longer than that, I would encourage you at the beginning to say this video is going to be about 5 to 7 minutes. Here's what you're going to learn throughout the duration of it. Hope you stick around to the end. There's a surprise. People will always stick around for surprises. All righty. So some of these, how are you targeting specific neighborhoods with these ads? So we are not necessarily targeting neighborhoods with the just list. I would imagine you're talking about just listed, just sold ads. We are doing it just so that people who are following us can see that we have massive amounts of production. So used to, we would target neighborhoods all the way down to the mile, but when Facebook did away with that about a year or so ago, year and a half ago, I guess now, we don't do it for that anymore. We just changed our strategy to be more of a proof of production type of conversation than it is the neighborhoods. So can we get the slides? The recording with the slides on it will be available by the end of the week. Are these ads going in a paid Facebook ad? Yeah, so you can do paid ads for sure. You could also, the whole conversation today was mostly about different types of ads you could pay for if you wanted to, but you can also get things from this being very organic as long as you're using your personal page as well. All right, so if no one else has any questions, I am good to go. I don't see a whole ton on here that wasn't answered. So like I told you at the beginning, you can find me on Facebook. Right now, it's a really cool picture of my kid, my husband, and myself, me wearing an ugly Christmas dress, so you can't miss it. If you need something, like I told you, my name is Dina Watson, which I'm going to type in the chat box right now for those of you who might have come in late. And let me know if you guys need anything. Other than that, hope you have a fantastic rest of your day and a great, great year next year, you guys. Talk to you soon.